No. My machine is struggling with those many windows.
Look like it's spinning up there, or still having trouble?
Nice. I think the stream is working, but this is taking a while. Okay. Recording pause. I can probably start recording. Okay. Yep. Okay, let's start sharing and let's search screen one. Now it looks like the stream is different. Okay, are you seeing my screen?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, let's go to here, connector, here. Let's close this, this. Okay. Big enough?
Yeah, plenty.
Okay, I might have to do it a bit smaller. Life cycle. Okay, so this is the interesting part. And this is the interesting part, especially because we need to do some fancy things for our testing. As you know, we are running quite a few tests at the same time in different processes, so we need to reuse the Chromium instance as much as possible, otherwise it's super slow. I try like running one single Chrome instance per test just for the basic test of a connector Chromium, so collect, evaluate, events, and even I think that invalid URLs are the ones that use it, and it was like super slow. It's like my machine was struggling.
Okay, so yeah, we don't want to keep booting that up and shutting it down.
Yeah, exactly. So this exposes only two methods. One is close and the other is launch. And they are atomic. I'm using a log for each one of those because if I'm trying to open a browser at the same time that I'm closing it, then we have problems with like the network communication is closed with the browser and things happen. So all these actions like connecting to a browser or initiating a new one and closing it need to be like done independently. It's like there can be multiple processes doing it at the same time. So we are using a file log in the top. This is the same one that we are using with CDP. Log file is actually the name. Let's go here. These are like some special parameters. We should be enabling this only during test usually, which is to override the security certificates because we are using self-signed certificates in our tests. And then we have get browser info, which tries to load the information about the current process that is loading. And basically this is the only way I found to do it properly, which is basically just check if a file exists, if it exists, which is actually Chromium connector.pid. We read it, it's a JSON, and we return it. So current info, I try to connect via the Puppeteer Connect and create a new page. Because the process already is running, so I need to create a new page for my test. then everything is set. I unlock and I return the browser and the page. If this process fails trying to connect, it means that the information in the file is outdated. So I delete the file, and then I go through the other path, which is puppeteer.launch. And puppeteer.launch is going to create a new browser. By default, it creates a browser with an empty page with about blank. So I'm reusing it just in case, so we don't have more processes. Then we get the PID, the browser WS endpoint, which is what Puppeteer needs to connect. I'm probably going to delete the PID. The PID is a leftover from the Chrome connector, and the reason, and we are not using it anymore in this scenario. And it looks like well, Chrome is using different processes, and the PIDs that it's killing is different. So at the end, it's kind of a mess to do that. So I'm probably going to delete the PID part and just use the browser WS endpoint, which is what I have in the code. So.
Okay, so we're just to clarify, so the PID part we're expecting to go away, and we'll just need the browser WebSocket endpoint.
Yeah, and right now I'm getting it, but we are not using anywhere else in the code. It's just because I was reusing the code from the Chrome connector, but I tried to use it to kill the browser or to check if the browser was working. And it wasn't reliable because I think that the PID that I was getting in some cases was of a sub-process of Chrome. And sometimes it got killed, some others not. So at the end, the way to know if Chrome is running is basically using the puppeteer.connect. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, then I just create a new instance.
Okay.
Well, by this point, we've already launched the browser, so we can write a PID, which I'll rename. And basically what it does is write this information in the file, the back, we unlock, we return the browser page, and yeah, we continue with our lives. And yep, and then get browser info, unlock, log. Some of the properties that we have is like for 50 seconds, it tried to acquire the log, and that's about it. So the tricky part, this is
the reason for 50 seconds, or
this is historically what we had in the debugging one, and I think it was a bit over it was a bit under the timeout period that we have for Ava.
Okay.
But it has like several retries. Like it retries every 500 milliseconds up to 20 times, and it waits 1 second between retry. If it tries for more than I don't know how many seconds, it considers it stale, so it gets a new log in that. So this is just more trial and error than anything else.
Okay.
So this is working. The bad part is that it's only working on my machine because I had to modify Puppeteer. Puppeteer right now has a policy that if Chrome is created by Puppeteer, it's going to kill it when the process exits, because that's what most people expect. So I've opened an issue to add a new option to disable that. So we'll see if.
So the question is there a way we can progress on this without having that issue resolved?
So right now I'm working on getting all the other, like the hints passing, which is like also important, and I'm finding some issues and some things like the certificate parts. I had to add an extra argument earlier today, because otherwise if the certificate is not complete and when you're running headless, you might have some issues. So I'm still doing progress on that part, and we'll see how far I can get with the other errors and the other things that I need to implement. My fallback plan is to probably use Chrome Launcher, and then, yeah, more or less do the same. It's like just have a process that launches it, and we'll see how it goes. Or maybe.
Now we can still attach Puppeteer to that?
Yes, I mean, everything.
It's just that Puppeteer is being attached instead of creating the process?
Yes. So that will be the thing. I need to, because with Chrome Launcher, I get only the port, so I will have to do something else, but it will be basically just spanning a detached process in Node that is going to spin up the browser. I'm probably not using Puppeteer because if I have to kill that, I mean, what I would do probably is like spin up that process that is going to get killed right after once Chrome is instantiated, and then connect to it directly. So that's more or less the idea I have. I'll have to see if I use Chrome Launcher, if I try to do it manually. Probably that manually is going to be a mess. So, or if I don't want to kill that process, or if we let it live, then even Puppeteer to spin up that process and have a Puppeteer background process in there that is completely detached. But we will be leaking, so maybe we should do that only for CI, because this is basically for CI environment for us for when we are testing. So, I mean, I have some ideas as workarounds. I hope that we are going to implement this. It's relatively easy to do, and I mean the PR shouldn't take me it shouldn't take me too long to get it right, depending on how many that I have to do. But okay. So those are my hopes.
All right, so let's move on to close. Mm-hmm. That's probably the next most interesting part.
Yes. So with the close, I was trying a few things. I need to check yet what happens in other platforms in macOS if the process gets killed or not. But basically, I'm trying to get all the pages. If there is only one page left in the browser, that means that it's this one. So I'm going to delete the file. And then in all the cases, I'm just going to close the tab. And in Windows, headless or not headless, that closes completely the browser. I'm expecting to have to tweak this for macOS because that has happened in the past. And maybe I have to use like browser.close. Although that doesn't, so the difference with macOS is when you're running in no headless mode. When you're running with a UI, then you need to force the browser to get close.
Okay. And I mean, we're still intending to support this both in headless and with headless and without. So
no. So I will probably have to do something in there. So
okay.
I just want to, once I have the test running in this machine, it's like, okay, I'll switch to Mac and then polish this part. But I mean, that will be instead, probably the difference will be in here, await browser.close, and in here will be like else await page, and then comment this. So I would expect that it will be something like that, hopefully.
Okay.
So we'll see. I think that for Puppeteer though too, they have one breaking change that they want to do about closing the browser that they say that is not async, even though that this is async. So maybe it's just the command that they are sending to the browser, but the browser is still running for a few seconds. I hope to bypass that limitation by deleting the file at that moment. So that means that the next browser that tries to open that file doesn't exist, so it needs to create a new one. So we'll see once I switch to that part.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. I don't know. Any other concerns?
Hey, were there any? That pretty much is most of the connector between earlier and now. Mm-hmm. Were there any other parts we missed or?
No, I'm having a problem right now with Apple Touch icons when navigating to a URL that is not HTML. So I need to figure out what to do in that case. Yeah. I think I need to do the validation. Okay, where is it? It's in collect.
And then as we did
here that I forgot to do, which is check that the target is HTML. If it isn't, then leave. But I forgot to implement that part. So
how are you wanting to do that? Because that's an interesting place where we've had inconsistent logic between the connectors in the past.
Yeah, what are we doing right now? I thought that we fixed those inconsistencies. Or not?
We're going to have to move something to one of the utility libraries to do that because Connector Chrome had some additional checks that converted unknown and XML MIME types to HTML. basically included those as pages that we would analyze. So it was really only excluding things that came across as like a script, a style sheet, or an image.
Yep.
Or a media file.
And do you remember what JSDOM is doing right now? Because I was planning on doing that same logic.
Yeah, I think it was a little less than that. I don't think it was doing the unknown handling. But I can't remember for sure off the top of my head. We'd have to look it up.
So I know that, where is this? So what I was doing was, where do I have it? Like, this navigation request. This target, okay, this navigation. And I was moving that logic. Oops, no, I don't want to copy. I want to navigate there. Here, so navigation ended. I wanted to do that check about the unknown and XML and HTML in here. And if it isn't, then do something to bail out.
I guess the other question here is, I mean, at least our local connector is perfectly happy processing a non-HTML file type if we wanted to just do a piece of analysis on something more scope that someone opened. Like, I don't know if there's a reason we couldn't actually analyze a script or a style sheet that was open directly, just for kind of scope targeted scenarios here.
That's what is happening right now, but that means that we probably have to change a few of the tests and work the inconsistencies with the JSDOM, because JSDOM is passing the test. So let me show you the failing one. It's in here. No, I have it in here. Okay, I don't have it open, but But basically,
unless there's a specific problem, I'd prefer to err on the side of being more permissive. And if we can actually do the analysis for some of those contexts, that gets us closer to being able to still test the browser with kind of more flat file experience.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, because I had this same discussion with Catalin. I don't remember. I mean, I think that we decided to end up just analyzing HTML, but can't remember exactly the reasons.
Okay.
But yeah, we can give it a try now. Maybe it was too complicated with CDP to figure out exactly what was going on. Okay, so this is the test, so this should be fine. So
yeah, I don't remember, how did the old connector determine what was the target file? Maybe that was part of it.
So it was part of the MIME type thing that you were mentioning.
Yeah, if you're using
the reason was that
having to use the MIME type to determine the target, then that would make it difficult with sub resources. And that very well could have been the reason that it was scoped to HTML before.
So this is for fetch.
Yeah, that's the check I remember.
Yeah, but this is for later. This is just for the event to know which one we are sending. But I think it's request response. Loading finish, update loading. Trying to find, so DOM is the original.
So yeah, that one tied target just to whether the URL matched the original.
Okay, so what we are doing here is the original document is parsing this, sending the other one. It's the only one that we are doing. Yeah, I can't remember where it is.
There's a few different definitions of is target I saw as you were scrolling through there. You might want to look for an assignment.
Nope.
Where did that come from? Oh, had a type specified. Okay, so that one's just doing URL matching there. I think there was somewhere else as you scrolled through in a different function that's looking to see if we already have the DOM.
Yep.
Which would also be incompatible with loading certain resources directly.
Mm-hmm. So maybe that was the reason. So we are waiting for, well, at the same time, we are going to load only one resource when we are navigating to an image or a script or something like that.
Right, and we wouldn't expect, as long as we don't try to kick off traversal or something, it'd be fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I mean, if we do, if we do try to walk the DOM, I believe there's always something there. Most of those resource types, a temporary HTML page gets generated to render them at the top level.
Can you repeat, please?
So most of the other resource types, if a browser loads them at the top level, it generates a temporary HTML page.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I mention that is if you actually tried to walk the DOM, it's not like there wouldn't be a DOM, it's just not relevant to what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and that's probably what is happening right now because I'm getting the error that the Apple Touch icon hasn't been defined, like the meta.
Yeah, it'd be very minimal.
Yep.
And we just want to not do the DOM walking in that case.
Collect, so it will be...
And that's probably something we still need to do some gating on based on the content type.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Okay. Yeah, because we can't evaluate the script, so we will send like all this part we avoided. The parse events will still be sent.
Right, and so we'll do the analysis through the parse events.
Okay. Okay, and then align the other parts. Yeah, and see what's going on with JS DOM and update the test. Okay, and do we want that as part of this PR, or do we want to?
I don't think that has to be part of this PR. I think we could track it as a separate issue because we're also going to, if we're unifying the logic a bit across connectors, you're going to be touching potentially the JS DOM connector as well. And I'd like to keep that separate from what we're adding new here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. I'll open an issue for that now. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that I have anything else. I mean, my biggest chunk of time has been in trying to find out why tests were failing, and that was because of Puppeteer and the lifecycle management that I do with Chrome, and then work around that. So that's what's taken so long so far. So
okay, and then a few more updates to do before this is ready to come out of draft.
Yeah, I want to pass the tests. I think that once the tests are passing, I'll just, yeah, I remove the draft.
Okay, and then since we are cleaning this up, how particular you feel about trying to align with our more recent code style stuff? A lot of this originated from older code.
What do you mean by?
Oh, like how we've been using types more recently with removing the redundant type usage.
Oh yeah, no, I want to remove all of those. So okay. I think I removed a few before that were already here. But yeah, I spot them, and while I was doing some copy pasta, I removed the ones I could. But some others are required. But yeah, definitely remove more types.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure we were on the same page. I'll mark any of those I still see as I go through the review separately later.
Yeah, I don't stress too much about that. I still expect to do a couple more pushes.
Okay.
And so, but Well, yeah, I think I tried to remove
I
this.
figured it's a good time to, it's a good time to clean up the code with anything we want to do as well, even if it did originate from somewhere else.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. Yeah, there is one thing like event name. It's like we have this, I copy pasted from the IntelliSense. So I might remove a few of these. And I know there are still a few.
For Puppeteer?
Yeah, those are for Puppeteer because, yeah. And I need to add handles for, I have a handle for page error and error in general, but I'm not doing anything. I'm just handling those, like getting notified, but I'm not doing anything. So also need to figure out how am I going to.
Puppeteer doesn't have types for those?
Yes, but this is like the event name is this. If you go to, I think it's browser. No. Let's see. Okay, add listeners. This listener set the idea. Okay, page on. So that's what I'm getting. It's like I have to.
Wait, but that's, so where are you using?
So I had to put the event name to make sure that like on error, on request, and all of those weren't complaining.
Exported type?
Sorry?
Does that mean that's not an exported type? I mean, why did you have to redeclare it at the top of the file?
I couldn't find it anywhere. Like I wasn't sure how to get that.
Oh, okay, can you actually take, so where, let's see, where are we touching Puppeteer here? I lost your cursor on.
Page, so underscore page and
click on that, on the page, on the dot on.
Okay.
We'll, jump to the, should jump us to the type definition. K extends key of page event object. Cool. Let's go to page event object real quick. See if that one's exported. It is. Cool. So that's just apparently key of page event object. So if you can just import page event obj there, and you can still have your event name. You just got to do, but it'll be type event name equals key of page event object.
Where should I put that?
It's your type definition up top.
Okay.
Basically replaces that.
Okay, so it will be where they have Puppeteer.
So yeah, from Puppeteer, you need page event object. It's separate import line. Or yeah, you can do it that way.
So it will be.
So assuming that, yeah. So then it's a key of, because it's the actual keys on there.
Okay. Oh,
that's how it was referenced in the type definition.
It will be key of. Like that?
Yeah. Let's hover it, see what we get.
Okay, cool.
Looks like you got what you need.
Yep, definitely. Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3, I need to check the logistics for tomorrow's meeting, and then we have the internal event now. So
okay,
how much stuff I'll get done. Oh.
Yeah, sounds good. So then we'll just run through the compat data PR tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. Then probably after our.
Yes. Is it ready for?
Yeah, it's done now. I've got all the tests, everything up to date.
And it's passing and all of that?
Huh?
Is it passing?
It was passing on my machine. I hadn't ran the full suite yet, so that's running in CI right now.
Let's see.
Means certainly something probably failed, but I did go and separately run the tests for each of the hints that were involved. Yeah, it looks like something failed, so I'll have to dig into that.
Okay, which one?
That's just on Mac, actually. That had an interesting case. I tried to restart that one. It doesn't look like it did, but it failed on checking the hash of the.
Oh yeah, I've had that problem a few times before with Azure.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't worry too much. Okay.
Well, it looks like Linux
has passed, so that's.
So yeah, we're probably in pretty good shape. It would be nice if we can figure out what was going on with Mac there, but kind of
Yeah,
been the story
it's
lately.
just checking out. I wouldn't worry about that.
But yeah, so that's ready to go. We can review that.
Okay, and 10 minutes to run. Nice.
So you want to do that tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll try to review that also separately later today if I have time, and then we can meet tomorrow after the planning, or even before. We have it at 11 a.m. I think.
Yeah, your time.
Yep.
I think it's at 11.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll play by ear.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, see ya.
Later.